The stars of Galaxis shone like rivers of light, spreading across the dark sky of the alien academy world. Thousands of young beings from different species walked through the crystal halls of Galaxis Academy, each one proud of their race, their power, and their legacy. Among them walked a single human girl, Lena Carter. Her steps were quiet, her eyes calm, her expression unreadable. She wore the same silver uniform as everyone else, but she never really blended in. Her body looked smaller, her skin softer, and her movements slower than the tall, scaled, or armored students around her. She was the only human at the entire academy. To the alien students, humans were nothing special. Most had only heard stories, tales of a small world far from the galactic core, a world called Earth. To them, Earth was a primitive planet of low gravity, weak biology, and short-lived creatures. Humans, they believed, were barely more than animals. So they mocked her. As Lena entered the combat training hall, whispers followed her. The air buzzed with laughter and sharp voices. "There she is," the soft one from the blue planet, a tall insectoid, muttered. "She can't even lift a plasma spear," said another, his scaled mouth curling into a grin. "Fragile bones," laughed a creature with glowing eyes. "Why is she even here?" Lena ignored them. She walked straight to her training station, where the instructor, a four-armed alien named Instructor Rax, stood waiting. He gave her a polite nod, his antennae twitching slightly. "Cadet Carter," Rax said. "Today's lesson, close combat. You will face Cadet Tarek of Vornak." A murmur rippled through the hall. Tarek, the strongest cadet in their year, was nearly twice Lena's height. His species, the Vornaki, were known for brute strength and armored hides. He grinned, his fanged mouth glinting under the training lights. "This will be quick," he said proudly. Lena nodded once. "Let's see." The match began. Tarek lunged forward like a beast. His first strike hit Lena's shield hard, sending her sliding back across the floor. Her shield shimmered blue, barely holding. The alien crowd laughed. "She can't even stand straight. Human reflexes too slow." Tarek swung again, but this time Lena ducked. Her movement was slow compared to his, but her eyes stayed locked on his center. She moved differently, fluid, precise, not wasting motion. Still, the difference in strength was too large. Within moments, she was disarmed and on one knee. The instructor called the match. "Victory, Cadet Tarek." The crowd cheered. Tarek raised his arms and smirked. "Weak," he said, looking down at her. "Maybe you should go back to your little planet." Lena stood up slowly. Her breathing was steady. She didn't glare, didn't argue. She only said one thing. "Humans learn fast." Then she walked away. The laughter followed her out of the room. But when Tarek looked into her eyes for that brief second, he saw something strange. It wasn't shame. It wasn't fear. It was something sharp, like a quiet storm waiting behind calm skies. That night, Lena sat alone on the academy balcony. The world below her glowed with alien lights, towers of silver and crystal stretching to the horizon. She looked up at the stars, whispering softly. "They think we're weak," she said. "They don't know." Back on Earth, she had been trained not in high technology but in endurance. Her father had been a survival instructor, her mother a biologist. From a young age, Lena learned how to survive, how to adapt, think fast, and keep calm under pressure. She knew that strength wasn't just in muscle. It was in will, and humans had plenty of that. Still, the academy life was hard. Every day she faced mockery. In science class, they said her brain couldn't handle complex equations. In tactics, they laughed at her primitive ideas of strategy. Even in group missions, no one wanted her as a teammate. She was the outsider, the fragile mammal. Only one being didn't mock her, Instructor Rax. He watched her quietly during classes, noticing how her scores kept improving, how she studied longer than anyone else. When others rested, Lena trained alone in the simulation rooms. When others laughed, she stayed silent, her eyes always focused on the next lesson. Rax called her into his office one evening. "Cadet Carter," he said, folding his arms. "You are progressing fast, yet you seem restrained." "I'm just learning, sir," she replied. "Perhaps," he said. "But I've seen your kind before, humans. You hide your real strength until it matters." Lena looked at him, surprised. "You've met humans?" "Once," Rax said, his voice distant. "During the Frontier Wars. They fought differently. No fear, no retreat. Many called them dangerous. Even for allies," he paused. "Tell me, Cadet Carter, are those stories true?" Lena hesitated, then said softly, "We don't fight for pride, sir. We fight to survive, Rax nodded slowly. Then perhaps the others should stop laughing. The next day, the Academy's grand hall filled with excitement. The dean announced a new event, the survival test, a tradition where students were sent to wild worlds to test their endurance, teamwork, and intelligence. The name of the test planet appeared on the holoscreen, Raxus Prime. The crowd gasped. Raxus Prime was infamous. A planet filled with dangerous creatures, acid storms, and unstable terrain. Even trained soldiers avoided it. The survival test would last 7 days, and every cadet had to reach a beacon placed deep in its jungle. Lena watched the screen quietly. Around her, students whispered again, "She won't last a day. She'll be food for the first predator she meets." I hope she packed a coffin. Lena ignored them. She knew this test wasn't about muscle or armor. It was about instinct. It was about who could adapt, who could think clearly when everything fell apart. And that was something humans were born to do. When the teams were chosen, no one wanted to be with her. Finally, one group, the one that drew the short lot, ended up with Lena as the 5th member. Tarek was in that team too. He sighed loudly. "Great, the weak one joins us. We're doomed." Lena just smiled faintly. "You'll be fine." Before the launch, Instructor Rax met her at the hangar. "Remember," he said, "this test is not just about survival. It's about control. Those who panic lose. Those who think live." Lena nodded. "I'll remember." The shuttle engines roared, and the students were shot across the stars toward Raxus Prime. Through the window, Lena saw the green and black surface of the wild world growing larger. Lightning danced across its clouds. Her heartbeat stayed calm. When they entered the atmosphere, turbulence struck. The shuttle shook violently. Warning alarms screamed. Something exploded. The pilot shouted that the landing was off course. The ship crashed into the jungle, tearing through trees and smoke. Silence followed. Then groans. Panic. Systems down. "We're off the map. The beacon's miles away." Tarek pulled himself up, shouting orders, but the others were too frightened. Strange roars echoed from the jungle. Something was watching them. Lena stood up, brushed off the dust, and looked around. "We move now," she said. "The longer we stay, the more they'll come." "Who made you leader?" one alien snapped. She didn't answer. She just pointed at the shadows where glowing eyes appeared. Then she grabbed a broken piece of the shuttle, shaped it into a sharp edge, and started cutting vines to make rope. "If you want to live," she said calmly, "follow me." The others hesitated, but when one of the glowing eyes moved closer, they followed. As they stepped into the wild jungle of Raxus Prime, the air thick with mist and danger, Lena led them forward without fear. Behind her, Tarek watched her carefully. The same girl he mocked now walked ahead like she belonged there, her movement steady and sure. For the first time, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, humans were not as weak as everyone thought. When the shuttle from Raxus Prime landed at Galaxis Academy, a crowd was already waiting. Students, instructors, and officers stood in rows, their eyes wide with disbelief as the survivors stepped out. Only one team had returned whole. The others had lost members, or never came back at all. At the front of the group walked Lena Carter, her uniform torn and dirt-stained, her hair tied back with a strip of fabric. She looked exhausted, but her eyes burned with calm focus. Behind her, Tarek of Vornak and the others followed, silent but alive. Whispers filled the air. "That's the human girl. She survived Raxus Prime." "Impossible. Even trained soldiers die there." The academy instructors exchanged glances. Some were impressed. Others were uneasy. How could a fragile human lead a team through such a deadly test? As they walked through the gates, Instructor Rax met them. His antennae twitched with a faint smile. "Welcome back, Cadet Carter. You performed beyond expectation." Lena simply nodded. "We just did what we had to, sir." Tarek stepped forward. "No, sir. She did more than that. Without her, we'd be dead." The crowd fell silent. The proud Vornak warrior, one who once mocked the human, had spoken with respect. Rax nodded. "I see. Then I think the Academy owes you more than a grade, Cadet Carter." He turned to the others. "Medical checks first. Debriefing after." Later that night, the Academy halls buzzed with rumor and talk. Every student had heard of the human girl from the DEATHWORLD. Lena had become a mystery overnight. The holoscreens showed brief images of her team's return. Messages from across the galaxy began to flood the Academy's network. Who was she? What was Earth? How could a human outperform advanced alien species? In the Academy library, several alien scholars began digging through old archives. They found fragments of information about Earth, a planet full of unstable weather, toxic flora, and deadly fauna. A world where life evolved through constant struggle. The more they read, the more uneasy they became. Lena, meanwhile, stayed quiet. She didn't care for attention. She spent her days recovering in the training bay, fixing broken tools or helping her teammates with reports. Tarek often joined her. "You know," he said one evening, "they're calling you the DEATHWORLDer." Lena laughed softly. "Catchy name." "You don't seem proud," Tarek said. "It's not something to be proud of," she replied. "It just means our planet tried to kill us every day, and we learned how to live anyway." He looked at her for a long moment. "Then maybe the galaxy should learn from you." Lena gave a small smile. "Maybe." The next week, she was summoned to the council chamber, where the Academy's high instructors gathered, representatives of many species. The room glowed with blue light, and the counselors watched her carefully. "Cadet Carter," said a tall avian being named Counselor Vera, "we've reviewed your performance on Raxus Prime. Your actions were extraordinary. We must understand how you accomplished such results." Lena stood straight. "I used what I knew, Counselor." "And where did you learn such methods?" Another asked. "From my home," Lena said. "From Earth," Vera's wings rustled. "You speak as if your world trains children to fight jungles." Lena met her eyes calmly. "In a way, yes. Earth is full of danger. Our storms destroy cities. Our seas drown ships. Our wildlife can kill unprepared explorers. To survive, we had to adapt." The council members exchanged looks. One of them scoffed. "Surely you exaggerate. No civilization could rise in such chaos." Lena pressed a button on her wristband. The hologram above the table changed, showing real images from Earth. Tornadoes twisting across plains. Volcanoes erupting fire. Humans climbing frozen mountains. Divers swimming with predators. Soldiers running through war zones carrying wounded companions through smoke and flame. The aliens stared, speechless. "These are from your home?" Vera whispered. Lena nodded. "Yes, humans don't run from danger. We prepare for it, we face it. That's why I survived Raxus Prime. It wasn't harder than what we already faced back home." The silence stretched long. Finally, Counselor Vera said, "Perhaps we have misjudged your kind." Lena only replied, "Perhaps." That night, the footage from the council meeting leaked across the Academy network. Every student saw the images of Earth. Every alien who once mocked her watched the storms, the oceans, and the wild fury of the human world. By morning, the Academy's mood had changed. When Lena walked through the corridors, no one laughed anymore. Some whispered in awe. Others moved aside to let her pass. The same alien who once called her fragile now avoided meeting her gaze. Tarek walked beside her and chuckled. "Looks like the galaxy finally believes you're not weak." "I didn't want fear," Lena said softly. "Just respect," he nodded. "You've earned it." But peace didn't last long. One evening, alarms blared across the Academy. Red lights flashed through every corridor. The loudspeakers screamed, "Incoming attack! Unknown ships entering orbit!" Students panicked. Windows flashed with light as the sky burned with fire. Through the Academy domes, they saw ships descending, dark and sharp like blades. Pirates, the Zirath Marauders, one of the most feared bands in the Outer Rim, had chosen this world for plunder. They wanted resources, tech, and hostages. The Academy, full of young cadets, was an easy target. Instructor Rax's voice came over the comms. "All cadets to the shelters. Evacuation underway." Lena ran with her group toward the bunker tunnels, but explosions rocked the ground. Part of the upper tower collapsed, blocking their path. Debris fell everywhere. Screams echoed through the hall. Tarek looked around wildly. "The others are trapped above. We can't reach them." Lena's eyes scanned the fire and smoke. "We'll make another path." She grabbed a fallen pipe, using it as a lever to move debris. Her arms shook, but she didn't stop. "Help me!" she shouted. The others joined in, pushing together until the path cleared. They found several students trapped under broken glass. Lena pulled them free, using her jacket to stop bleeding. The air was thick with smoke. Above them, enemy ships landed near the main plaza. Tarek stared at her. We need weapons, Lena nodded. Armory's 2 halls east, move. They ran through the trembling corridors. The Academy's defense drones were already fighting, but the pirates had heavy weapons. One blast tore through a wall near them. Shards flew everywhere. Lena pushed Yura aside, taking a hit on her shoulder. The burn left a mark, but she stayed silent. Keep moving, she ordered. Don't stop! At the armory, they found a handful of rifles and grenades. The cadets armed themselves quickly. None of them had real combat experience, but Lena did. She remembered her father's voice. In chaos, control your breath. Think before you shoot. She looked at the frightened cadets and said, we can't fight head-on. We'll strike fast, hit hard, and disappear. Guerrilla tactics, hit and run. Tarek frowned. That's primitive. It works, she said. Humans have used it for centuries, he nodded. Then lead us. The next hours became chaos. Lena's small team moved through the shattered academy, striking the pirates from shadows. They used vents, dark corridors, and broken halls as traps. They hit supply lines, stole weapons, and freed captured students. Each time, Lena's planning saved lives. At one point, they hid inside the observatory tower while pirate troops marched below. Tarek whispered, they have scanners. Lena smiled faintly. Then we'll blind them. She connected a cable to a nearby power line and overloaded the grid. The entire section went dark. The pirates' scanners fried instantly. Confused, they fired randomly into the dark. The cadets slipped past unseen. By the time dawn arrived, the pirates had lost more men than they expected. They were retreating toward their ships, but one large vessel stayed, firing at the Academy's defense tower. Lena stood on the roof with Tarek and Yura. We can't let them destroy the tower, she said. That's the main defense system. Tarek looked at her, then at the ship. That's suicide. Not if we're fast, Lena replied. She picked up a launcher and aimed at the ship's engine vents. Her hands were steady despite the shaking ground. She breathed once, focused, and fired. The missile hit perfectly. A bright explosion ripped through the sky. The pirate ship tilted, flames bursting from its side. It crashed into the distant hills, shaking the ground like thunder. The Academy erupted in cheers. The remaining pirates fled into orbit. The attack was over. Hours later, the sun rose over the broken towers. Smoke drifted into the sky, but the Academy still stood. Lena sat on the steps, tired and covered in dust. Tarek sat beside her, silent for a long time before saying, You don't fight like anyone I've ever seen. Lena looked at him. We fight to live. Always have, he nodded slowly. Now I understand why your kind survived that world. From the courtyard, the surviving cadets looked up to her with admiration. She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. Instructor Rax approached her. The council will hear of this, Cadet Carter. You've done what few officers could. Lena stood, gazing at the distant sky. I didn't do it for glory, sir. Just survival, he nodded. And that, human, is what makes your species truly dangerous. As she looked at the burning horizon, Lena whispered to herself. They called us weak once. Let them keep watching. Because deep down, she knew this wasn't the end. This was only the galaxy's first glimpse of what humans were capable of. The morning after the pirate attack, Galaxis Academy lay in ruins. Broken towers, scorched walls, and smoking craters littered the campus. Cadets moved cautiously through the wreckage, checking for survivors. The air smelled of ozone and burnt metal, but hope and fear mixed together like smoke in the wind. Lena Carter walked silently through the chaos, her uniform scorched, her boots muddy. She wasn't looking for glory, only for the people who still needed help. Behind her, Tarek and Yura followed, tired but alert. This isn't over, Tarek said quietly. They'll be back, Lena didn't answer. She already knew. The pirates were cunning, and they had lost face in front of the galaxy. They would return, and next time they would bring more ships, more firepower. Her calm, steady gaze swept the horizon. This time she would not wait for the pirates to strike. She would meet them on her terms. By midday, the Academy Council had called an emergency meeting. The surviving cadets were gathered in the main hall and instructors spoke rapidly. The pirates' fleet was regrouping nearby. Reconnaissance drones confirmed the enemy had 5 larger ships waiting in orbit, each armed with heavy plasma cannons. Counselor Vera, still shaken by the attack, turned to Lena. Cadet Carter, you survived Raxus Prime and led your team through a pirate strike. Your leadership and strategy were remarkable. We ask you, how can we defend the Academy if they return in force? Lena stepped forward. Her calm voice cut through the murmurs of fear. We do not fight like they expect. We use speed, surprise, and terrain to our advantage. The Academy itself is our weapon. A murmur ran through the hall. Tarek's eyes widened. Even the seasoned instructors looked skeptical, but Lena's confidence never wavered. I will lead the defense teams, she continued. We cannot rely on shields and cannons alone. The pirates count on fear. We will turn that fear back on them. Counselor Vera hesitated, then nodded. Very well, Cadet Carter. The Academy entrusts this mission to you. That afternoon, Lena inspected the Academy's defenses. Broken walls became obstacles and traps. Collapsed towers formed choke points. She walked through every corridor, noting every weak spot. This is the way they'll approach, she told Tarek, pointing to a scorched wall. We force them here. Too many ships together, they'll collide. Then we strike from above. Tarek frowned. You're risking cadets. No, Lena corrected. I'm risking myself. You and the others will move where it's safest. We hit fast, hit hard, and disappear. Yura whispered, You really aren't afraid? Lena shook her head. Fear slows you. We don't have that luxury. By nightfall, cadets were organized into small teams. Each one had instructions from Lena. Her plan was precise, almost surgical. Ambush points, diversion routes, emergency signals. Evacuation paths, all mapped in her mind. The aliens, once mocking her, now followed her without question. The first sign of the pirates came as a sudden flare in the sky. Red plasma streaked past the upper towers. The cadets dove for cover. Lena moved forward calmly, checking that all teams were in position. They'll try the main gate first, she said, but we'll lure them into the jungle zone. Then everything changes. The pirates landed near the Academy Plaza, their heavy boots shaking the ground. Alien cadets fired defensive weapons, but many froze under the pressure. The pirates laughed at their fear. Lena did not hesitate. She moved through shadows, climbing walls, scaling towers. From above, she directed fire, dropped traps, and set charges with precision. Every pirate move she anticipated, every weakness she exploited. Tarek and the others followed, learning quickly. The cadets who had mocked her before now acted with coordination, guided by Lena's sharp instructions. The first wave of pirates fell into her trap. Narrow corridors forced the large ships to bottleneck. Mines placed in advance exploded, disabling engines. Automated drones activated, striking precise targets. From above, Lena guided each team, her eyes bright with focus. She moved like a predator, quiet, fast, efficient. Her human instincts, honed by survival training on Earth, allowed her to read the battlefield faster than any alien could. Tarek whispered to Yura, She's not just clever. She's Apex. They had never seen a being combine intelligence, strategy, and raw courage like this. The pirates regrouped, bringing in heavier weapons. The cadets were exhausted. Many were injured, but Lena never wavered. We have to hit their command ship, she said. It's their brain. Destroy it and the rest scatter. She grabbed a small squad and moved through the debris, dodging fire. Using broken walls as cover, she reached the ship's flank. With a sharp toss of explosive charges, the hull ruptured. Fire erupted. The ship's engines faltered. Alarms rang. From the other side, Tarek watched, awe on his face. She's insane. And it works. The final confrontation came on the Academy's central plaza. A massive pirate mech emerged, armed with plasma cannons and a shield generator. Most cadets froze in fear. Lena stepped forward. Her voice was calm but commanding. Don't panic. Circle around it. Use the debris for cover. Hit the joints and weak points. Timing is everything. The cadets followed. Grenades, energy beams, and precise strikes disabled the mech's movement. Lena climbed onto its back, dodging mechanical arms and firing at the exposed controls. Sparks flew. The mech shuddered. Then it fell, collapsing with a deafening crash. The pirates hesitated. Their leader, a massive alien with a scarred face, glared at Lena. How is a single human leading this? Lena looked him in the eye. You thought humans were weak. You were wrong. With a final coordinated strike, the pirates' remaining forces fled. Their ships took off into orbit, leaving the Academy intact. By sunrise, the cadets cheered. The smoke cleared. Broken walls still stood, but the Academy had survived. Lena stood on a shattered wall, her uniform torn, her face streaked with ash. She didn't smile, but the cadets could see the fire in her eyes. The calm determination, the absolute confidence. For the first time, Tarek spoke without hesitation. "Cadet Carter, you are Apex," she looked at him. "I'm human. That's all?" The other cadets looked at her with new respect. Some whispered in awe. Some silently vowed never to doubt humans again. Instructor Rax approached, antennae quivering. "You've done more than defend this academy. You've shown every student, every instructor, that humans are a force to be reckoned with." Lena's eyes scanned the horizon. It's only the beginning. The galaxy had seen her. The academy had seen her. And somewhere in the void, news of a human girl defending a space academy would spread across systems. But Lena didn't seek fame. She only prepared for what was next. Because danger always came again, and humans did not back down. Tarek stood beside her. "Do you ever rest?" he asked. "Only when there's no fight left," she replied softly. And in her heart she already knew. The fight was never over. Humans survived, adapted, and thrived. And when the galaxy realized that, it would change everything. From that day, Lena Carter was no longer a fragile human girl. She was a predator, a leader, and the first true glimpse of the apex nature of humanity. The aliens who once mocked her now whispered her name with reverence, and somewhere deep inside her, Lena smiled faintly. They had called her weak. They had been wrong. The chamber of the Galactic Tribunal was built from crystal and silver, shining like a sun trapped in stone. Thousands of alien eyes stared forward, waiting for the next witness. The air felt heavy, filled with fear and curiosity. At the center stood Valoran, an old alien from the Erythian archives, one of the galaxy's oldest races. His tall form was covered in soft blue scales, and his silver eyes reflected the lights above him. He was nervous. His long hands trembled as he placed them on the glowing table before him. "State your name and reason for testimony," a robotic voice ordered. Valoran bowed his head slightly. "I am Valoran of the Erythian archives. I was present when the Divine Coalition declared war upon the human species. I witnessed what followed." A cold silence filled the room. Everyone had heard stories about what humans did, but few had survived to tell them. The head judge, a large insectoid creature named Trikan, tilted his head. "You will speak truth. No lies, no fear. Tell us what you saw." Valoran looked down, then slowly began. "I will tell you what I saw, and I pray that the stars forgive me for remembering. Long ago, before the fall of the Divine Coalition, humans were considered a minor race. Their world, Earth, was small and green, orbiting a yellow sun in a forgotten spiral arm. They had no empire, no gods, no ancient power. Only determination. The Coalition, made up of 13 powerful species, ruled the stars. They called themselves the Divine, believing no lesser being could question their command. For thousands of years, they spread their order across galaxies. Most worlds accepted them. Some resisted, and when humanity rose into the stars, they refused to kneel. The Coalition first called them reckless, then dangerous. Humans built colonies too fast, created weapons too freely, and spoke too boldly. They were considered a threat to balance. "I remember the first meeting," Valoran said. "The humans stood in the Hall of Light, surrounded by gods. They asked for peace, for trade, for understanding. But the Coalition saw pride. They saw a spark they could not control. When the humans refused to disarm, the Divine Council voted to remove them. In a single day, thousands of warships left their orbits, heading toward human space. We, the Erythians, were tasked with recording the event," Valoran continued, his voice shaking. "We were not soldiers. We were historians. We only observed. But that day, I wished I was blind." The invasion began at Mars Colony 9. Billions watched from across the galaxy as the red planet burned. The Coalition expected quick victory, but humanity fought back with every ounce of strength they had. For 3 months, humans resisted. They used clever traps, false signals, and weapons no one had seen before. They turned mining tools into cannons and ships meant for farming into war vessels. But in the end, they were outnumbered. When the last human fleet fell above Earth, the Coalition celebrated. They called it the cleansing of the wilds. Entire sectors held festivals. The Divine had crushed another rebellion. Valoran closed his eyes, remembering. "We thought it was over. The galaxy moved on, but then something happened. It began small, whispers, rumors, and silence. A year after Earth's destruction, outer listening posts began to vanish. Patrols stopped returning. Entire fleets disappeared into empty space, no debris, no escape pods, nothing. At first, the coalition blamed pirates. Then when their holy fleets vanished one after another, the truth became clear. Something was coming, Valoran said softly. Something that even the divine could not understand. He remembered the day the first image arrived. It was a simple transmission, static and shadows. A massive shape drifting through darkness. At first, no one could tell what it was. But as the signal cleared, the image became terrifyingly clear. It was a ship, black as night, shaped like a blade. Its size was impossible, larger than a moon, silent and cold. Its name was burned into its hull in bright white letters. Vengeance of Sol. No one knew how humans had built it. Their homeworld was ashes, their colonies gone, but somehow they had returned. The moment we saw that ship, Valoran said, I felt the galaxy tremble. The Divine Coalition sent their fastest ships to intercept. None came back. No messages, no wrecks, just silence. The next day another signal appeared, this time across every frequency in the galaxy. A human voice, deep and calm, spoke 6 words. You wanted gods. You will meet us. Inside the tribunal hall, every alien sat still. Even Judge Turkin, usually unmoved, shifted nervously. What followed? He asked. Valoran looked up, his silver eyes glimmering. The stars began to burn, he said quietly. But not from your holy light. He described the first human strike. A single ship entered the Sanctum system, the heart of the Divine Coalition. In 10 minutes, their defense grid, something that took millennia to build, was gone. The sky turned red as space itself seemed to tear apart. No one understood how humans had such power. They did not use divine energy or magic. Their weapons were physics, precision, and fury. They moved like storms, Valoran whispered. No hesitation. No arrogance. Only purpose. Entire armadas were erased before they could even fire. The coalition called upon their gods, the Seraph Lords, but even they could not stop what had begun. Human fleets appeared everywhere at once. No drive trails, no time delay, as if they had mastered teleportation. Wherever they went, they destroyed the fleets that had once burned their home. But there was something strange. They didn't harm civilians. They didn't destroy planets. They only targeted military power. The divine who started the war. It was not vengeance, Valoran said. It was judgment. As his words echoed through the tribunal, many aliens lowered their heads. None dared to interrupt him. I was there, Valoran continued. I saw it from the Erethian observation ship. I saw gods fall. He remembered the screams of the coalition commanders. The pleas. The panic. He saw the vengeance of Sol pass over their fleet like a silent shadow. The humans didn't taunt. They didn't curse. They only moved forward. Each ship had a name written on its side. Names of cities, of people, of worlds they lost. I saw one ship marked Hiroshima Reborn, another New Hope. Each ship carried the memory of loss. Each blast was a word in a language of grief. In the present tribunal, Judge Turkan finally spoke. You mean to say the humans destroyed the divine? That they fought the gods? Valoran turned to face him, his voice heavy. Yes, and they won. The words hung in the air like thunder. No one moved. After a long silence, a smaller alien whispered, what were they like? The humans, I mean, when you saw them up close. Valoran thought for a long time before answering. They were quiet. Too quiet. Their eyes carried a fire that was not rage but remembrance. I saw one human captain walk through the ruins of a temple they had destroyed. He picked up a fallen alien child, wrapped her in his own jacket and said, no more. He looked back at the tribunal. You ask what they were like? They were what we could never be. They were mortals who faced gods and reminded them they could bleed. The chamber stayed silent. The lights dimmed slowly, leaving Valoran standing under a single beam of light. This is only the beginning, he said softly. What I tell next will explain how even the divine fell. He bowed his head, his voice trembling. We thought we understood power, but we had never seen human rage, and once it awoke, even the stars seemed to fear them. The chamber of the Galactic Tribunal stayed silent long after Valoran's first words ended. The light above him flickered softly, as if the room itself was holding its breath. Around him, thousands of alien faces showed the same emotion, fear. Valoran stood still for a while. His tall form seemed even thinner under the cold glow of the crystals. When the judge finally spoke, his metallic voice echoed through the hall. "Continue, witness. Tell us what followed after the humans' return." Valoran closed his eyes and began again. "It started quietly," he said. "No wars, no announcements. Only silence. Then stars began to die. At first, no one believed it. Entire systems went dark. Space stations lost contact with their fleets. Every sensor showed the same strange readings. Energy bursts that came and disappeared in seconds. In the Sanctum Quadrant, 1,000 light-years from Erythia, the celestial fleet of the Divine Coalition was on patrol. They were proud, powerful, and protected by shields said to be impenetrable. But one night, all transmissions stopped. The only signal received afterward was a short recording, one single human voice saying calmly, "The debt begins to balance." The message was followed by static. Then nothing. Valoran's eyes glimmered as he continued. "I was stationed on the Erythian observation arc, near the edge of the Centauri Nebula. We watched the signals disappear one by one. It was like watching candles go out in a storm." He remembered how his crew stood in silence, eyes locked on the display. One by one, red lights, each marking a coalition fleet, blinked out. For centuries, the Divine believed themselves immortal. But now they were hunted. Soon after, strange energy readings appeared. Ships, massive ones, were seen near destroyed systems. They had no transponder codes, no coalition markings. They were completely dark. But when scanners tried to read them, the sensors burned out. Those ships had human design, simple, sharp, efficient. The Erythians called them ghost ships. One of them was recorded for only a few seconds before the recorder melted from the radiation. That short recording showed a human warship emerging from the shadow of a dying star. Its hull was black, its lights dim, and its shape like a spear made to pierce heaven itself. Across the side of the ship was written 2 words in Old Terran English. "Retribution class." The Divine Coalition reacted with fury, Valoran said softly. They sent 1,000 ships to destroy these ghosts. But the ghosts were already waiting. He paused and touched the table lightly. The glowing surface showed flickering symbols. Data from long ago. "The battle lasted only 13 minutes, he continued. 13 minutes, and not one divine ship survived. He could still remember the images that came afterward. A whole fleet gone, and all that was left was empty space and static noise. No one understood how humans could do this. The Divine Coalition used energy weapons beyond science, shields powered by stars and ships made from divine alloys. Yet the humans cut through them as if they were made of glass. Some said humans had made a deal with dark forces. Others whispered they had merged with machines. But the truth, Valoran knew, was much simpler. They learned, he said. They watched. They adapted. And then they came back with everything they had built in silence. As he spoke, the tribunal hall played one of the few recovered images from that time. The hologram projected a huge human ship drifting through the dark. Behind it floated the wrecks of 1,000 divine vessels. The ship bore another name, Justice of Earth. Every listener in the hall felt a chill as the image faded. Judge Turkan leaned forward. "How many ships did they build?" "No one knows," Valoran replied. "Every sighting showed a different class, a different name. Some were small as cruisers, others larger than moons. Some appeared only once, then never again. It was as if each ship carried a soul." The judge's mandibles clicked nervously. "And who commanded them?" Valoran's voice turned quiet. "They called themselves the Children of Soul. Each crew was made of survivors, those who had escaped the fall of Earth, or their descendants. Their leader was known only by one name, Admiral Kane. The mention of that name sent a ripple through the crowd. Everyone had heard it. Some even thought it was a myth. Admiral Kane led the first human retribution fleet," Valoran continued. "He never appeared in person, but his voice echoed across battlefields. Calm, steady, and full of something colder than hate. Justice." Then he looked up at the judges, and that was the day the stars began to burn. The Battle of Halo's Rift was the first time the Divine Coalition gathered its full strength. They wanted to end humanity once and for all. 5,000 divine warships formed a wall around the system. The most powerful weapons in existence were ready. The Seraph Lords, the highest commanders of the divine fleets, stood at the front. They believed no mortal could defeat them. But when the humans arrived, everything changed. The humans came not from hyperspace or wormholes, Valoran said. They simply appeared. One moment space was empty. The next it was filled with fire. A fleet of human warships emerged from nowhere, hundreds of them silent and black. Their weapons glowed like dying suns. The divine commanders sent a signal demanding surrender. Humanity didn't reply. They simply advanced. For the first time, the divine realized what fear felt like. The battle began with a single flash. One human ship fired what looked like a pulse of light. It struck a divine cruiser and the cruiser vanished. Not exploded, not broken. Vanished as if erased from reality. Florin's voice trembled. Their weapons were not like ours. They didn't destroy matter. They removed it. The divine fleets panicked, firing everything they had. The sky turned into a storm of energy. Yet none of it touched the human ships. It was as if the humans had learned to dance through death itself. Within 15 minutes, half the divine armada was gone. At the center of it all stood the Vengeance of Sul, the same ship that first appeared months ago. Its cannons glowed blue, and every time they fired, a new star seemed to be born and die in seconds. When the battle ended, the Seraph Lord's flagship, the Crown of Eternity, was broken in two. The humans did not celebrate. They did not chase survivors. They simply sent one message to the entire galaxy. We are done begging. Inside the tribunal, no one dared to move. The only sound was Valoran's slow breathing. He lowered his gaze. The divine fled. Whole sectors abandoned. The coalition's temples burned, not because humans wanted power, but because they wanted silence. They wanted no more gods. He explained how the humans avoided civilian planets. They ignored surrendering soldiers. They only struck command centers, weapons, and fleets that once destroyed Earth. They were not monsters, he said softly. They were correction. He then described how the Erythians tried to contact the humans. They sent a signal of peace, asking for dialogue. For a week there was no reply. Then a small human vessel appeared near the Erythian Ark. The crew boarded peacefully. They wore simple gray suits with a small emblem, an image of Earth and a single star above it. Their leader, a woman with silver eyes, spoke calmly. We know who you are, the historians. You may watch. You may record, but never interfere. What comes next is not conquest, it is remembrance. And then she left, her ship disappearing into darkness again. Valoran looked up at the tribunal. We followed their command. We watched the wars end one by one. The humans moved like storms, terrible but never cruel. Every system they touched, they rebuilt. They sent food, medicine, and aid to those who were innocent. He took a long breath. That was when I realized their rage was not hatred. It was grief turned into justice. Judge Draken spoke again, his tone softer now. And the divine? What happened to them after Halo's rift? Valoran's voice became heavy. They ran. Their temples fell silent. Their empires crumbled. For the first time in history, the divine understood that no one is beyond consequence. He looked around the hall. That day the stars burned, not because humans wanted war, but because they wanted peace that no one could take again. He paused, and his next words were almost a whisper. When humans rage, even the divine fall. I saw it with my own eyes. The chamber stayed silent for a long time. The light dimmed again, leaving Valoran standing in the center of the vast hall, alone with his memories. The next part of my testimony, he said quietly, is about the fall itself, the end of the divine. He raised his head toward the stars beyond the glass dome, and how humanity taught us that even gods can bleed.